Well, let's see if the sound works today. Well, hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm the Associate Broker Residential Sales Manager at ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 279. I hope you're all having a good day. So, I'm trying to get out the door over here. VFW stuff this weekend. We're having our summer conference and officer elections and this and that. And the other thing, one of my clients is actually down there already. And of course, like every time you leave town is when all hell breaks loose. And when your clients is leaving town at the same time, you definitely have to have all hell break loose. And that's part I wanted to cover today. And the topic of this one is training or lack thereof. So we have a listing for sale and we get a showing. And actually what happens is I get a phone call Wednesday morning from a gentleman who drove by the property and was interested in it and wanted to see if it would be a good fit for his son and daughter-in-law. Anyways, his kids. All right, so the kids are picking up this place and they are interested in the neighborhood, and he was really interested in the house that he could put sweat equity into. And so he had, this is how it went. He saw the sign. He went to Zillow, found the property, clicked, I would like to see this at 4:00 tomorrow on Tuesday. That night, next morning, his phone is blowing up from all these agents calling him, going, hey, see, you want to see this place at 4:00? And, I'll be happy to show it to you. But none of them are me. He thought he was getting me when he went to Zillow. So he calls me up and basically is like, hey, I sent you a request. And I said, where'd you send the request? And he goes, I sent it to you on Zillow. And I was like, oh, I don't actually get those. And then I explained to him how Zillow works. They get agents to pay them for calls like that where they can sneak in real quick and act like they're, oh yeah, I'll be happy for it. And the consumer has never been made aware by Zillow. All right, is not made aware by any other channel out there except for this one right here. That's why you are the smartest customer base in all of real estate right now, because you're listening to me. Anyway, so we schedule at 4:00, and then a couple hours later, I get a text from the kid's agent. Hi, just want to let you know he was mistaken. I'm actually working with him. And so my first thought was, okay, he did have an agent and she's trying to throw her under the bus, which happens a lot. You'll get those. And he seemed like a really nice guy, but even nice guys can do that kind of stuff. So I call him and say, hey, and he goes, oh yeah, that's my kid's agent. Oh, excellent. So I was happy to, bring her on board and whatnot. So I called her up and, we worked everything out. Seemed really cool. So they go see the property on Tuesday. And then last night on Wednesday, I start getting questions from her. And she says she wants to write an offer. And I'm like, great. Here we are. Client's out of town. I'm going to be out of town. This house has been sitting out there for 30 days. And of course, this weekend is when everything goes loose, because that's how the real estate gods laugh at us. And so I spent all night. And then I get an email from her going, hey, what's your email address? This is my email address, just like the same one on the MLS. Did not say that part, but later on, I get another email from her asking her for my client's email. And I'm like, that's weird. So I call her up and I'm just like, hey, there's Ray. Are you using Dotloop? Because that's the system we use, and it tends to really try to default to put all the information, including the other site's email addresses, which you do not have. So she goes, no, I'm using Transaction Desk. I went, okay. And, and I'm like, I've just never had anybody ask me for my client's email before. And she goes, well, it's at the bottom of the form. Okay, so I sent it over to her, and then I did a little bit of that, research real estate foo stalking. I found out this is a brand new agent. All right, she's not showing any transactions on the MLS. Now, that's what I mean by brand new. You're brand new until you do at least one, even if you're like co-listing or with somebody. And I'm like sitting there going, oh my God, she's trying to do the contract all by herself without adult supervision. Who's her broker? Oh, those guys. It's not HomeSmart. It's another one of these It's actually one of those brokerages that I've talked about in the last couple of weeks. All right. Remember what I've been saying about you can have all the numbers in the world, but if all your agents are mongoloids, you're going to have a bad time. So I'm not saying she's that or anything like that. I can just tell she's not trained to the ProStar standard. All right. She's doing her first offer by herself. Wow. Now, Arizona regulations and Arizona's commissioner statements clearly state that sales agents operate under a broker as an employee-employer relationship, and the broker is ultimately responsible for the actions of said agent. So I'm expecting this offer, hopefully, to come across sometime today, and I'm probably going to have to do a counteroffer back. Just my favorite kind of counteroffer. Here's the counteroffer just to clean up the mess that you wrote. I'm really going to try to help her out, okay, within the bounds of maintaining the fiduciary duty to my client, all right, making sure this is clean and everybody's protected and her client's taken care of indirectly, because I'm really... I could be wrong. Okay, I could get the most clean, pure, pristine, legally accurate contract I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, or there can be things like she's writing the wrong stuff into the wrong lines, and she's clicking the wrong boxes, and she's having her clients initial everything, even places where they're not supposed to. This is the nature of the industry. All right, there is, and if you were actually Arizona State Commissioner and, watching my podcast and you've realized I've been complaining about the industry that you manage, supervise, oversee, control, all right, give me a call. I mean, you could look my number up tomorrow. You could just have a minion look my number. Give me a call. Say, hey, Ray, tell me more. And we'll go meet off somewhere. I'll even pay for the beer and I'll fill you in on stuff, right? But this is what's going on right now. So you got somebody out there and they want to be a real estate agent. Oh, yeah, it sounds great. It's just, all I do is I take a picture and I make a lot of money. Yay. So yes, I am talking about higher licensing standards. I am talking about more restrictive supervision standards. All right. And we're talking like, you're not allowed to do a transaction unless you've done 6 transactions with not under your broker, but with your broker. And I'm not talking, this is the managing broker of our 7th, this is our 15th Street in Beardsley, office. This is these two working together, documented that they were actually trained and mentored. But we're not going to see that in my lifetime. So let's continue on. Numbers are boring as hell. I'll be straight up with you. We are definitely in the doldrums. There's not a lot of motion going on right now. It's like, as Cromford Report says, the whole industry is sort of taking a pause right now. But these are the numbers for June 11, 2026. Actives this week are 24,867. They're up 26 from last week. New listings were 2,154, up 102. Our contracts were actually down to 223, and our closings were 1,513. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 564 new listings. If you're trying to figure out where the discrepancy is with the actives and the contracts and the new listings, the trick is expired listings. Yes. All right. We're looking at average like 74 days on the market right now. All right. Some listings are expiring or being taken off for the summer. All right. People are thinking, all right, which is, it's still growing because we had 102 new ones come in. All right. But that only reflected an overall change of 26 while we had contracts go down. Do the math, boys and girls. Right. Our supply right now is at 106.5. Our demand is at 86.9, giving us a Cromford Report number of 81.6. And if we break it down into our happy little regional areas, I just realized something there. That's the way it's supposed to look. Sorry about that. I'm not re-recording. Fountain Hills is still leading the pass at 164, up 2 from last week. Our biggest gainer right now is Paradise Valley, up 16%. Year or month over month, so they're at 123, definitely moving back into seller's territory. Our balanced markets right now appear to be Avondale and Peoria, and Goodyear, Surprise, Santan Valley, Maricopa, Queen Creek, and Buckeye is where the bargain hunters should be right now. Biggest loser is Tempe. First Premier Home Warranty has a summer blowout sale. If any of you guys are interested, that's what that flashing was over there. And so biggest loser is Tempe because, hey, it's Tempe. They are so weird out there. Other chart I wanted to show you. All right, this is... This is another continuation of that whole theme I was talking to you about how, when everybody thinks they can do real estate, everybody else thinks they can run YouTube channels. Some people think they can do real estate and YouTube channels at the same time, right? I have very low viewership numbers because I don't clickbait. I don't lead with the shocking gotcha headlines. I don't have the thumbnails of me making a weird expression with, these numbers shocked me. Not doing it. No, that was for instructional purposes only right there. You won't see that. So you get numbers go up, numbers go up, numbers go down. All right. Numbers go up. You can spin that any way you want to. Now let's just say, all right, and this isn't even hypothetical. There are people out there who make their money selling you doom and gloom, right? They make their money by grabbing your attention and getting eyes on screens and fingers on mouses clicking like, all right, and the algorithm rewards them with cash. For them to do that, you have to have the thumbnail, all right, and then you have to have information that terrifies and horrifies and scares people, because fear draws your attention a hell of a lot more than happy. All right. So I want to show you a chart. First glance, this chart is going to look horrifying, and then we're going to break it down for you. Okay. This is the kind of chart that the ignorant people freak out about. This chart right here is foreclosures per month. Right? Starts over here at 2002, ends over here at 2026. This is the boom. This is the crash. This is us coming out of the crash. This is the vid. And then we're here. Red ones, it's a notice of trustee sale. That is the number of people who received a letter in the mail, certified, stating you've missed your mortgage payments and we are starting the 90-day process to take your house away from you. Call us. All right. The blue is the actual number of houses that were taken away. Most people get themselves right. Right. Most people are in a position to where they can sell it, they can refinance it, they can go, oh crap, that's right, we didn't pay the mortgage. It's on that big pile of paperwork over in the dining room table. All right. And they get themselves straightened out. Now, cute little statistical anomaly right here at about 2011. We actually hit the point where 1 month we had more foreclosures and notices. That was because of the 90-day process. All right. But generally, people get themselves straightened out. Right here, that was where the forbearances and the moratorium came in and nobody could do nothing. So you look at this chart and you're thinking to yourself, oh, look at that. We are really spinning back up. We go on that kind of glide slope. Oh my God, in like a year or two, we'll be back over here. Here comes a crash. Get ready for the investment opportunity of a lifetime, you Zoomers out there. But this is what's called a logarithmic chart. Okay, this is the kind of stuff you need to pay attention to in statistics class, boys and girls. All right, this is the kind of stuff they don't teach you in high school, because if they teach you this in high school, you become an informed voter, and next thing you know, as teachers' unions, you lose a whole bunch of political power. All right, logarithmic. The reason why I don't like statistics is because I can't say the words. All right, this kind of chart here, you need to understand one thing. Bottom line is 10 units of measurement. All right. Down here, we hit almost 0. Okay. They were still happening, but we're like 12, 15 notices. All right. 10. Here, next line up is 100. That's a log. I'm not even going to try to say it anymore. That's that L growth that we're talking about. The next line above that is 1,000. This line right here is 10,000. So understand, this dot right here is when we had 10,000 notices of trustee sales. Pay me my money or I'm taking your house notices. 10,000 in 1 month. All right. Down here, 10. Now, if you notice, this line is going back up, but it is going up and it is just slightly over 100 right now. Right? Nowhere close to 10,000. Get out a calculator. Divide 10,000, 10,000 by 100. See how many you get. 100. Guessing 100. All right. We are 100 times less than that. But it looks like a third of the way there when you look at this chart. This is the kind of chart that will screw you up. This kind of chart, when Cromford Report out there, used a huge disclaimer and explained this to people so they would not look at this and freak out. But what people are doing is they're pitching the delta. Look at this change. We have gone up from 25 or so to 100 plus. All right, that's 3 times growth. All right, so people coming in, you'll see the headlines. Okay, looking at you, Arizona Republic. All right, foreclosures up 3 times over 2024. Even better, foreclosures in Arizona up 3 times over, since Trump was elected. All right, what we're looking at is coming out of that forbearance area and returning to what we like to call in the business normalcy. Right? This is where we're at prior rush. Okay, we're at about, I'd say 150, 1,500. Remember, when you hit there, the number flips. All right, 1,500. Okay, so we are moving back up to where we should have been normally. Right down here, that was statistically low. Not here low, because this is when the rush was happening and everybody was buying everything and houses were skyrocketing in price and value. One of the major things about getting your house foreclosed on is if you can sell it in that 90 days, you're good. It doesn't count as a foreclosure. Back in 2025 and 2026, you could sell it because everybody was buying everything. You couldn't do it here in 2009 because that was the crash and nobody was buying. All right. As we return to a balanced, normal market, all right, you will see this eventually back where we should be. One other very important piece of information to put into your brain. We have 6 million more people living in Arizona today than we did back in 2000. We have a lot more houses. This number here, reflected with our current population, would be about here to offset more population, more houses, more issues for change. Make sense? So when you see the doom and gloom, when you see the headlines, when you see the oh my gods, I was having another conversation with somebody earlier this week, and I was trying to explain something mathematically to him. All right. And if you have something that happens, impacts a certain group of people, all right, and that's the stated thing. This effect happens to everybody, all the blues, or all the whatever, however we want to correlate them. Okay. If it only happens to a couple of the people, it just disproved your original statement. Okay, I can't figure out. Okay, so the reason why Stephen Hawking was brilliant, is he could take incredibly complex stuff and dumb it down so everybody could get the idea of ants walking around a funnel. All right, I can't do that with this. Okay, I'm not smart enough to be able to impart upon you. All right, if you have 2 items out here, 2 items. Okay, and something is going to impact one of the items. Okay, then the entire item should lift up in the air. Okay, if only half the item goes up, okay, your statement of something's going to happen to raise one of the items, all right, is false, because it did not happen everything. So this is another reason why I'm not a math major, okay? I can understand math. I just can't explain to you how I got the answers. And no, I can't show you my work. It just popped into my brain. Guess what? Am I right? I was right, wasn't I? So half the time I thought those teachers wanted you to explain the answer so they could figure out if you were ever right or not if they didn't have the test key. So, oh, yeah, we're having a good day. We're having a good week. So that's pretty much going to wrap everything up. I got stuff to do. I got training to do, kids coming in and stuff like that. And I'm supposedly going to be on the road to glorious Tucson, where I can hang out and do the veteran-y stuff and deal with that level of crazy, and then work my way back, hopefully by Sunday. Or I might decide I like Tucson. I'm just going to stay down there. So watch this space. If I'm, broadcasting from, from Tucson, I just decided to stay there. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you guys all later. Oh, hey, from the top, right? Watch your children and pets around water. Don't drive in anything flooded. I won't on the way down to Tucson. There's not going to be anything flooded down there. All right. Work your circles. That's half of the reason why I'm going to be down in Tucson, to shake a few babies and kiss a few hands. All right. And try to have a better weekend than I'm going to have. Catch you guys later.